morning, good evening, everyone. The last 15 months have been excellent, fascinating for everybody in the technology space. Artificial intelligence, and more specifically, generative AI, has given a completely different dimension to the way we all, our businesses, need to think about our daily work, our regular work, our time-consuming work, our complex activities. That we are here to talk about a very important topic. Another important aspect here is the speed at which all these changes are coming in. I mean, every week we are seeing a new set of generative AI technology coming in. This week we heard about the first AI software engineer getting launched, which is going to completely change the way software engineering is happening in different parts of the world. So that brings us to our this episode of Quintessence, which is empowering knowledge workers in the day and age of advanced computing and generative AI. My name is Bhaskar Kalita. I lead financial services for Quantiphi, and I have two distinguished guests here who are the most capable enough to speak about this particular technology. I've got Malcolm deMayo, uh, head of financial services, Nvidia. Welcome, Malcolm. And I
Thank
have
you, Bhaskar.
Siddharth Kotwal, who runs our Nvidia business at Quantify. Siddharth, welcome to this podcast. So
Yes, sir.
today we will talk about this important topic, which is knowledge worker productivity. This has been a buzz topic for over the last 15 months. We are hearing a lot of distinguished speakers talk about this particular aspect. So today we'll we will we will talk about certain ground facts, talk about certain personas, and then try to give our viewers a sense of what they should expect as we head to Nvidia GTC next week. That's the premier AI developer conference, and we've got both Malcolm and Sid, who lives and breathes this technology every day, to talk about it. So with that, as we start this particular episode, Malcolm and said, if you can quickly, give a little bit of background about yourself, your role, and then we'll get going. Start with Malcolm.
Thank you, Bhaskar. It's great to be here with you on Quintessence. I've really been looking forward to this particular session. It's such an important session. So I look after financial services, the industry at Nvidia. We, which basically means we're working very closely to make sure we have the right strategy, which is the right set of actions,
Mhm.
focusing in on solving the right, most difficult, challenging problems that financial services firms have. Very, very happy to be here with you today.
Thank you, Malcolm. Sid.
Yeah, hi, my name is Sid. I lead the NVIDIA practice here at Quantify. I work very closely with Malcolm and NVIDIA product teams to sort of close the gap between NVIDIA offerings and enterprise customers.
Thank you, Sid. Welcome to the podcast. So, with that, let's first get going with some ground facts, right? So, Malcolm, I'll start with you. Advanced computing, accelerated computing, and NVIDIA. You guys are ahead in this race with differentiated technology, differentiated set of SDKs, product suite. So, I want to start with you to tell us why NVIDIA is creating such a wave that no other player is able to keep up or match what NVIDIA has been able to do.
Thanks, Bhaskar. So, I mean, it's because we have Jensen. Jensen Huang, our CEO and founder, has set us on the right path and started us on that path back in 2012 when AI had its big bang. And I'm sure he probably didn't know when this was going to happen or how quickly, as you pointed out, how quickly things are changing. But he had us prepared for this. And when you think about where we are right now, we're at the very beginning of an AI revolution. We're at the very end of general purpose compute. And the beginning of a new era of compute, which Jensen has named and we like to call an accelerated compute platform. There's a lot of accelerators, and there's a lot of companies making accelerators, but there's only one accelerated compute platform. That's the first thing that's different. And it's a full stack of hardware and software. And we've delivered over 1,000,000x speed up to workflows in the last 10 years. And what that means is companies can do more with less. And everyone is challenged, whether they have their own data center or they're using a cloud data center. They're challenged. They're all challenged in terms of being able to fit compute into their data center and do it within the current energy envelope that's available in the world. Data centers are consuming 3% of the world's energy, and that's expected to double in the next few years. And accelerated compute is the most sustainable platform for driving compute. And generative AI is the tipping point. It's the killer app that's driving this transformation. So we're just at the beginning of this. Enterprises across the world are going to have to transform their data centers, their compute infrastructure from a data center to what we call an AI factory, an AI foundry, where they're going to be able to build AI apps very efficiently and using compute efficiently. And that's what we're providing. So the first observation was that accelerated compute delivers massive speed up. And as Jensen likes to say, the more you buy, the more you save. Mm-hmm. The second observation is that we're the only company that makes it available everywhere, in every cloud, in every data center, and at the edge, in cars, in IoT devices, in robots, et cetera. So the combined is driving down the cost of adopting AI, generative AI, and it's making it available everywhere.
Yeah. So Sid, pulling you into the conversation as a two-time service delivery partner, how are you taking this technology to the enterprise?
Yeah, so I'll piggyback on what Malcolm just mentioned as well, right? So we fundamentally agree that with NVIDIA's vision that AI is a full stack computing challenge, right? Generative AI more so, right? And there's a lot to unpack in that one statement when we call AI as a full stack computing challenge. I'd say that it is a multi-step accelerated computing challenge as well. So, we've been working with NVIDIA for close to 5 years now. I'd consider Quantiphi first as power users of NVIDIA software and products to improve just our own iteration and quality of solutions we've been shipping. And then over time realize that we could pass on some of this value to the customers by building applications using the NVIDIA software within their own sort of environment, right? So here's a thought experiment, right? So for example, I think what happened after the Chat GPT moment is that the world awakened to the emergent properties of LLMs. You could just have one single model, program it in English now, right? What that means is you can give it an instruction, and you can make the LLM as a computer do many, many tasks. It can translate, it can generate a summary. You could ask it a domain specific question. Yeah. And it can give you a response with surprising accuracy, right? So there's been this intense focus on just looking at the LLM as the primary ingredient of an AI application. But what we are seeing as developers and system integrators is that the most successful generative AI applications in the enterprise are rarely monolithic, in the sense that they're rarely dependent on just one model, right? They comprise of multiple components. So, RAG pipelines are probably 60% of the AI workload in the enterprise, sort of the low-hanging fruit or the first killer app in the enterprise, right? And just think about what happens in a RAG application, right? There's a one prompt or a single query that you're asking a system, and that fires multiple calls internally. You're calling an encoder, you're calling a retriever, you're fetching a vector DB, and also using really complex prompting strategies to generate a response, right? Now, each of this step is and requires acceleration, right? All the way from the underlying hardware to the middleware to the software. And that's basically how we are working with NVIDIA as a service delivery partner, right? We've kind of zeroed down on Nvidia's AI enterprise software suite to build production applications. So, I believe there are some in early access and some will be released very, very soon. We're using NeMo LLM service to train, fine tune, and align models like Llama and Mixtral. With enterprise support, we've been working with this framework called Triton, which is like the most lightweight and the most low latency framework to serve models. Now all of that is being packaged into a service called NeMo Inference Microservice. Milvus is a GPU enabled sort of vector store that we've been using as well. So again, coming back to that original point, that generative AI is a full stack computing challenge, and we are looking at Nvidia's software and hardware as the right place to build internally and also for our customers.
And if I'm not wrong, Quantiphi has the largest concentration of certified professionals to do this work. Is that accurate, Sid?
That's correct. Yeah, we're approximating to about 500 people that are just trained on Nvidia DLI. Yeah.
Cool. So now let's switch to the main topic around knowledge worker productivity. We spoke about advanced computing, accelerated computing, and generative AI as a full stack challenge, right? With that, the key topic, and this is going on in pretty much every forum, every write up that comes in every other week around productivity boosts, right? We're seeing, as you said, a prompt giving a set of results, generating a set of responses, summarizing a lot of things. It just talks about how human productivity should be thought through, should be re-baselined, so to speak, right? So with that, now we'll come to the specific industry. Malcolm, you and I deal with financial services here. How does it, coming to you, how does it change the way some of the key knowledge workers who are working in the space, like, for example, take the example of a relationship executive in a wealth management firm, right?
So thank you, Bhaskar, for that question. I think there's a couple of things that just think about what's happened before.
Yeah.
We've had blockchain hype. We've had RPA hype. We've had a number of technologies that were introduced that went through their own hype cycle. And so there's still a lot of maybe skepticism in the financial services community, and also maybe some myths that we can bust this afternoon. So when you think about the superpowers of generative AI and what a relationship manager does, or an underwriter in an insurance firm does, you spend a lot of time gathering data about their customer. They spend a lot of time collecting data, aggregating data, extracting information, and working hard to do the best job to provide the best financial advice and planning to their customer, or institute. If that customer is a person, an individual, or an individual family, or an institution, doesn't matter. And they are so much of their time today is manual and tedious. And generative AI has the opportunity. Imagine just aggregating spreadsheets and aggregating documents and trying to have to read through all of these documents. Generative AI can be trained to do all of this. And we can create assistants to help the relationship manager. So their job is going to move from maybe 40% of this manual work or 50% of this manual work to much more of their time now to think about how they're going to help their clients improve, obtain better returns, staying compliant and very focused on their risk tolerances and on their financial goals. And so when you sort of think about that, the next sort of logical question is, well, what do they need to work on as a professional? What do they need to think about? What skills will they need? First and foremost, they're going to need to learn how to use generative AI.
Yeah. Yeah, and on that topic, right? I mean, we talked about efficiency here. On that underwriting example, I was talking to a client this week, and this is a unique proposition. When I went in, obviously we are doing a generative AI use case with that particular customer. My going in assumption was exactly efficiency gain, drive productivity boost. When I started the conversation, I realized that this particular firm was actually writing 8% of the incoming volume, primarily because they can't handle the volume.
They can't.
They can. I mean, it's basic. It's just they're just eyeballing, taking care of a few submissions that comes from a known broker, and they're handling it. But then
That's
when
right.
we did a back of the envelope, business case on that, you know, 150 additional submissions or an enforced policy, you are talking about millions and millions of dollars of premium, and the cost of doing that incremental change was just minimalistic. So that talks about the value that this technology can bring in different businesses. You spoke about the relationship
But
executive.
Bhaskar, think about that for a minute too. Generative AI is very good at what you just said, analyzing vast amounts of data and finding patterns and identifying and summarizing and extracting out key information. But it doesn't have the reasoning skills that a human has. That multi-step reasoning that, every day we make thousands of decisions and we do it naturally. Our minds are wired to go through a decision tree and make these decisions in a fraction of a second. Generative AI is not there yet. So this is the perfect sort of complement. And there's so much fear and concern that it's going to replace humans. Maybe down the road that happens, but at this point in time, this is a massive efficiency and productivity opportunity for financial services first, particularly wealth managers and underwriters.
Yeah, and I think you called it out already. Every tech revolution has brought that fear in that jobs are going away, but history has always told us and shown us that every time a tech comes in, there are 2 to 3x of new jobs that are getting created to actually embrace this new tech and take this forward. One point, Sid, wanted to bring you in here. Uh, Malcolm spoke about apprehensions from a business perspective, fears, etc. But purely from a tech standpoint, there are also certain fears around security concerns, things like that, whether we should be using it. There are a lot of firms right now, especially in financial services space, who are just in a wait and watch mode. They are trying to evaluate this space. The whole thought process is, let the dust settle down and then we will see what to do, right? Are they losing a massive opportunity here to be front runners and just taking this approach? I just want to pull you into this conversation on that.
Yeah, I believe they are, because for every like one bank or one customer in FSI that is reticent, I'd say there's three others in some other industry, or five others in the same industry that are actually trying things out, right? So today, I was just before this podcast, actually I was speaking to a customer that is looking at building a digital avatar for mortgage services as well, right? And it's because internally there's a great realization that personalization and the ability to use text as an interface to kind of assimilate data from different places and reason over these multiple data um, sources is a huge bottleneck, right? Because if you think about it, like at least in FSI, all the labor intensive functions are doing exactly that. They're pulling data from multiple
Yeah.
locations, understanding multiple perspectives, and then going through compliance laws. And I mean,
Heavy
this
paper. It's heavy
uh,
paper. Heavy
exactly.
paper data, and it's basically analyzing data to make decisions. Yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah, exactly, right. So think of customer service agents, right? Every bank has agents that have to be, trained on the products and the compliance requirements to answer certain customer queries. Now there could be almost like a new service agent that is being onboarded, and they could have like an LLM that is trained on, let's say, all this historical customer service calls, right? And the all you do is you just have like a Q&A sort of interface to speak more intelligently about the wide range of the products that a specific bank might answer, right? Right. So I mean, there's that, loan officers. We are also seeing that a loan officer could simply just provide a customer name,
Yeah.
a file, and the result could be instantly generated. So I would say that at least get started with a proof of concept, get started with the pilot, and it doesn't really have to be any like a completely training something from scratch, right? um, we are doing a lot of work with the Mistrals and the Llama, but GPT-4 also works pretty fine. It's good for starting a proof of concept that at least allows you to baseline to ensure what are the data sources you're going to require, because like a necessary evil of having a text interface into everything is to be ability to also vectorize all of your documents, right? So,
Yeah.
and in order to kind of vectorize all of your documents, you need to make sure that all of them are at the right place, right? So a sort of a proof of concept could also act as a mechanism for which that allows you to test if your data processing pipelines are internally well aligned and things like that, right? So we're seeing a lot of companies actually starting with the proof of concept. It's that initial bump around because of the compliance laws and other regulations to move towards production that we feel still has to come yet, right? Which you wouldn't have, let's say, in a retail company, right?
Yeah.
Or you wouldn't have, let's say, for a completely new manufacturing agent, right? Where you just have to look through thousands and thousands of manuals, and something is broken down and you just want to fix, right? That's kind of a no-brainer. The knowledge work task in an FSI or an insurance firm is no different, right? So again, to my initial point, for every one company that is reticent now, there's at least five other companies in other adjacent domains that are actually leveraging all of this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the more you delay, right? Uh, you know, that's where the more behind you will feel. You may not see it in your books, you may not see in your results right away, but the perception will start build up, and then eventually your real facts will start showing up. I'll go back to what Malcolm said earlier: the more you buy, the more you save. Right? That was a great quote. With
Yeah.
that, let's talk about GTC next week. Big plans. Malcolm, why don't I start with you? Uh,
Thanks.
any
Thank you,
new
Bhaskar.
any new secret announcements that you can give us
No,
a right
they're going to have to wait. They're going to have to come to GTC for the secret announcements. But, we've talked about the fact that we have an accelerated compute platform, and we'll be showing customers. One of the things that is required that for us to do is to give them stable, secure, enterprise ready, and hardened technology. And when they come to GTC next week, or they join us virtually, what they're going to hear about is how Nvidia is kicking it up a notch.
Mhm.
We'll be talking about our NeMo framework. We'll be talking about Nvidia AI Enterprise, which is the operating system of AI. And we'll be showing customers how they can build RAGs with just a handful of GPUs, how they can use their proprietary data to accelerate their journey on adopting AI, and to accelerate the productivity gains and efficiency gains we've been talking about. And what's going to be great is it's a developers conference, but there will be our whole ecosystem will be at GTC with us to share with customers like Quantiphi how to work with this technology, and the fact that it's available everywhere should give financial firms great comfort, knowing that they won't get locked in. They have that flexibility to move from one location to another, build in one location, run wherever they want to meet their customers. So GTC is going to be, there's going to be some mind-blowing announcements. And I just want all of your listeners to know that we are very focused on safety, security, and trustworthy technology solutions for the enterprise.
Thank you, Malcolm. Sid, Quantify has a big presence out there. You want to give all our viewers a little bit of sneak peek into what all things we're planning out there next week.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm really excited for all the sessions. It's I was speaking about to someone yesterday. It is like the Super Bowl of AI, honestly,
Yeah.
right? It's an all-star lineup. So over and above, right? I think our talks will pale in comparison to all the luminaries who've invented transformers and others. But come down for some of our talks. We are located at booth 1513 at the AI Center of Excellence Pavilion. And then we have another booth, G129, at the Generative AI Pavilion, where we are demoing our knowledge worker productivity product called Bionic as well, right? So you get the best of both worlds. We've got demonstrations there. We have a bunch of talks that have been lined up as well that maybe we can link BK to people. We could post like a link in the
Absolutely.
notes. Yeah.
And Bhaskar, just for your audience, you don't want to miss Jensen's keynote. It's at 1:00 West Coast time on Monday. And we also have 17 financial firms presenting experiments from across Tuesday and Wednesday. So they'll be sharing the things they've learned. So make sure your listeners, make sure you look for those sessions.
Absolutely. The Super Bowl of AI, and it's an all-star
love it.
lineup. With that, it's a wrap to our podcast. Hopefully you got a lot out of this podcast. We spoke about knowledge worker productivity and the tech that Nvidia brings in and the type of work Quantify is doing. Thank you, Malcolm. Thank you, Sid. And thank you, everyone.
My
Bye.
pleasure.